Hello everybody, dear friends, dear astrology lovers, and those who follow me in my regular weekly astrological forecast. I am here with you with my new analysis of the astrological actual aspects for the next week, from Monday, March 27th until the 2nd of April on Sunday. Well, the analyzed period will start with a very beautiful, very harmonious aspect, which is the sextile Mars-Neptune, which will be exact on March 27th, but we will feel it impact from March 21st until March 31st. Why this aspect is positive for our energies? Actually, in the context of nervousness that has been provoked and is still provoked by Mercury, and we all remember the activization of the T-square by Mercury the last week. The sextile of Mars and Neptune will help us to maintain flexibility and will allow us to make steps that will be adequate to the situation. But in order to succeed in this, we must not succumb to emotions, and we have to cultivate the total self-control. Actually, the energies of this aspect stimulate the entrepreneurial intuition, the clear vision of what is happening, the understanding of where and when to step back, where and when to step aside for a while, to be able to see the right solution that is not obvious maybe, but which is optimal. Such tactics will more effectively influence the situation than a head-on collision with a problem, with partners or with enemies. However, the circumstances of these days can lead to, can push us to towards secret actions that cannot or should not be revealed. But what is important is not to slide down to intrigue, to concealment and deceit. This is a very good period to contact with the charitable, religious and cultural organizations during the sextile of Mars with Neptune. Well, everybody is expecting the new moon because it's the beginning of a new cycle. So, and welcome to the new moon, which will occur on Monday, March 27th at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, GMT -6. I give you the GMT -6 time for the aspect. And the new moon in the 7th degree of Aries will begin a new lunar month together with the stellium in Aries, because we remember that we have Sun, Venus, Mercury and Uranus in this sign, Aries. And the new moon will occur still in the aura of the T-square, Mercury, Uranus in conjunction, Jupiter and Pluto on the top, which is already in its divergent phase, but still active. And that's why this period, so the day of the new moon and the first days of the new lunar month will require new initiatives to solve old problems. Sorry. So the good news is that the general tense background of the last 10 days will begin to decline by March 30th. So it's almost behind us. We all know, and I hope we know, that the rituals of the new moon are perfect for new beginnings. It's time to set up our goals, to make plans for the next months, and to start implementing them. And any wish that we make during this day, it's of a great strength, and it's better to do it, of course, as close as possible to the exact time of the new moon. But if it's not possible, we have to use at least the next 24 hours. We just plan, we don't act. And I underline that the first lunar day lasts this time from 11 p.m. on Monday 27th until 7:15 in the evening p.m. on Tuesday, March 28th. The next aspect, a major actual aspect of the week, is also positive, and this is the trine of Mercury with the Saturn, which will be exact on the 29th of March and will be valid from March 26th until early April. This aspect helps to discipline the mind and to concentrate on specific tasks. Therefore, it's a good period for mental and written works, for solving practical issues, for working with documents, for making order in documentation, for serious studies, research, for seeking advice. And the days from March 29 to 31st, are favorable for business planning as well as for visits to supervisors, influential people, or to official bodies if you have to ask something they favor. We should consider these days the advice of elderly people, more experienced and mature people. And also these days are very suitable are good for all kinds of business trips. Now, very tense major aspect, which is the part of the T-square, the square of Jupiter to Pluto, which will be exact on March 30th. We all understand that the configuration of aspects, of planetary aspects involving more than one planet, otherwise it would be called a configuration, they take time to be formed and take time to be deformed, if I can say that term in English. So, especially if we talk about very slow planets like Jupiter, Uranus, Pluto, right? So, the entire month of March, the most important astrological fact of the entire month of March has been in the T-square Jupiter, Uranus, Pluto. But we have to recall that in December 2016 there was already we could see one of the first aspects of this T-square being formed. That's why what I'm trying to say is that the influence of these configurations involving slow planets, they take time. This influence can be spread over a very long period of time. But of course, we have to pay attention to the days of the exact aspects, negative especially aspects, of course. It could be a big trine, for example. Now we talk about oppositions and squares. So, of course, we have to pay attention to the days of the exact aspects, but the general background, energetic background that is provoked by the configuration can last for many months. So, in December 2016, Jupiter completed the T-square by its opposition to Uranus, while the square Uranus-Pluto was in the stage of it was divergent, right, deforming. So we have to maybe remember what happened in different countries on the social and political level at this moment. Now in March 2017, the T-square Jupiter-Uranus-Pluto will manifest itself in a full force, because this month's two aspects will become exact. On March the 3rd, the opposition Jupiter-Uranus was exact, and on March the 30th, the square Jupiter-Pluto will be exact. So it's almost behind us, but not yet. So that's why the entire month of March and the first half of April is the time of the greatest activity of these energies, and the T-square will be in effect until April 20th. So we have to stay courageous and patient and behave correctly, work out correctly these transits. Now, let's remind us once again, what is the influence of the T-square on our social, economic, and political life? In international relations, the T-square Jupiter-Uranus-Pluto causes a radical clash of interests at the international level, and these energies can provoke or cause conflicts, all kinds of conflicts, military, political, diplomatic, legal, and financial. At this time, economic and political circumstances will bring changes in business affairs, in the work of big companies and banks. On a personal level, and this I mentioned already in the past, in the previous forecast, on the personal level, These exact aspects, which are the part of the T-square, will primarily affect those who have their planets in their birth chart in the 19th, from 19th to the 23rd degree of the cardinal signs, Libra, Aries, Capricorn, and Cancer. Now, if you go back to more general, major impact of this configuration on our society, in public processes, in plural, the T-square Jupiter-Uranus-Pluto requires renewal, changes, and reforms. And in the life of the society, we could talk about, for example, energies of protest against the established order, which hampers progress. We could talk about revolutionary actions against lawlessness without law, without principles of law, of the ruling elite, for example. And also at this time, people feel the need to have and to ask for more freedom. Well, at the same time, we have to keep in mind that if this energy does not find a constructive way out, it can lead to rudeness and to the increase of offenses. And social protests can be accompanied by fights, clashes with the police, and also there is a big danger of terrorist attacks during these aspects of the T-square. But it's almost behind, so not much time left to pass to different energies. Now, there is one ingression the next week on March 31st. Mercury enters the sign of Taurus, and where it will stay until April 20th. Since we know that we have the stellium in Aries, the impulsiveness of Aries will be restrained by the reasonableness of Taurus, which will be a big plus on the background of the existing planetary aspects. And this transit, the transit of Mercury by Taurus, reduces the level of conflicts in discussions, in communication and negotiations. New ideas are wait. When you wait something. Pondered, their practical utility and realism is tested, and this will also have a very positive effect on the business life of these days. Well, one more week of Venus retrograde. I know that maybe we are all tired about that, but well, what we can do, we have to adapt ourselves to the energy of the astrological planetary influences, impacts on us. It's up to us to make the effort to be taken by the flow. I hope that you work out correctly this transit, the retrograde phase of Venus, and even though many of us may feel unloved, underloved, undervalued, there may be a feeling that we deserve more, that we should receive more from the partner, from the relationship, than the partner is actually giving to us. And by the way, the partner may break his promises. It's not excluded because of Venus retrograde. He steps backward. And only after Venus passes to its direct phase, we can start doing something about our partnership if we see the necessity for. For example, if we come to the conclusion that it's necessary to break the relationship, then it's better to do it when the cycle of retrograde Venus is over, because the actual phase suits for the evaluation of the problems and not for taking a decision on how to solve them, and not for acting, not working on the problem. Why love and relationships that started during retrograde Venus can be contradictory? Actually, the reverse movement of the planet of love changes the usual point of view. That is, we may not be able to see the obvious, something that would be easily noticed at another time when Venus is not retrograde. That's why Well, it doesn't mean that retro Venus implies deception, but this is sure that a distorted view of relationships is present in one form or another. Erroneous assumptions are totally possible, and these assumptions can cause erroneous assessments and disappointments in the future, when we will find that the person of our dreams is not how we have seen her in the past. So the most important thing to keep in mind is that the period of Venus retrograde is primarily not suitable for marriage. We can wait with that, with marriage, official engagement. Now, for what else the period of retro Venus does not suit? This is not a good time to invest and start business that is directly related to financial activities, because in the future it may turn out that the cost of products has been inflated, or that their value does not match the expected value, for example. When the planet enters its direct phase, there may be losses due to financial actions taken during the period of the reversed movement of Venus. The time is unfavorable for the acquisition of luxury goods. Here also the incorrect evaluation of the object is possible. For example, it may turn out that the item that looked very attractive in a store will lose its charm in the future once it's in your house or in apartment. What is this period suitable for? Because there are some positive sides of Venus retrograde. The time is favorable for the restoration of the relationships that existed in the past and were torn, but only under one condition: if there are serious intentions of the both sides to restore the relationship. If there are difficulties in the existing relationships, we will have opportunities for reconciliation. It is also a good time for the sale of unnecessary things and stale goods, as well as for the real estate, as well as the sales in the real estate for which the buyer has not been found during a long time. During this phase of Venus, many people make unreasonable purchases, so it's good to take advantage of the situation, to try to get rid of something, to sell what we did not manage to sell at other times. Also, it's an excellent time for buying antiquariat in Russian. Antique, and any second-hand goods. And also, this is also favorable time for repeated negotiations concerning finances, for example, for the negotiations of a bank loan agreement. It is good to deal with the legal issues of long-standing origin. Okay, this is the ambiance, the atmosphere of getting back to the past, to returning to the past, affairs unresolved in the past. Now, to finish the transit of the moon by the signs of the zodiac, so we said that the new moon will occur in the 7th degree of Aries on Monday in the evening, so it means that the moon will enter Aries in the morning, where it will stay in these signs until the morning of March 29th. During the transit of the moon by Aries, we can start boldly any new project that is, especially if it's a short-term project, and if it requires vigorous actions during a short period of time. And also, we must try to restrain ourselves in the manifestation of anger and other negative, violent emotions. It's better to get discharged by doing sports. From the morning of the 29th until the noon of the 31st, the moon will be in Taurus. During this transit, it is necessary to show practicality and efficiency. We can start a long-term project, deal with financial documentation, go for cosmetic procedures for the body, and it's very important to cultivate patience and perseverance during this transit. And to end up the week, from the middle of Friday until almost noon on Sunday, the moon will be in Gemini, and now it's time for the communication and information. We can go to the bookstore to buy an interesting book or useful articles for the office, listen to someone else's opinion on any subject, to go on a short excursion or trip, in general, to show curiosity in a very general sense yes. So happy very much for, I'm happy that you are here, that thank you very much for your attention, for your time. I sincerely hope this information that I give you each week is useful, and that this information will be useful for the next week. Happy new moon, and talk to you in 1 week. Goodbye.